The Name in the Dark. Chapter 1: The Silence Between Words. Audiobook pacing: slow, atmospheric, emotionally heavy. Elena didn't answer him. She couldn't. Michael's confession, "I don't know," hung in the air like the last echo of a breaking object, vibrating long after the sound itself had faded. She lay frozen in the dark, her breath small and precise, as though any movement might shatter what remained of the night. He turned away from her. That hurt more than the words, because that small, almost imperceptible motion told her everything. He wasn't waiting for her reaction. He wasn't bracing for her anger. He wasn't reaching out with regret. He simply drifted from her, as if the distance were natural, as if it had already happened, as if he had accepted something she was still trying to deny. The following morning, Elena moved through the house like a ghost occupying familiar rooms. Every sound felt amplified. The fridge humming, the faucet dripping, the clock ticking in sharp, impatient seconds. She caught her reflection in the hallway mirror. Eyes hollow, skin pale from hours without sleep. There was a faint tremor in her hands. A visible one. She poured coffee but didn't drink it. She opened windows but didn't feel the air. It was as though someone had turned down the volume of her life, or muffled it beneath layers of water. Michael entered the kitchen with an expression carefully prepared. Guilty, gentle, considerate. The expression of a man who believed tenderness could cover truth. "Morning," he said softly. Elena nodded. "Morning." He studied her, trying to read what she now knew, trying to calculate how much damage he had done and how much was still hidden. "Can we talk?" he asked. She wanted to say no. No talking. Not yet. Words were too dangerous. But she nodded because that was the pattern of their marriage, agreement even when agreement felt like surrender. Michael sat across from her, folding his hands, breathing in slow, nervous rhythms. "Elena, I didn't mean to hurt you last night." A lie. A soft one. Practiced one. Her voice came out steady. "Whose name were you dreaming about?" He flinched, so subtly it might have gone unnoticed by anyone who wasn't watching him the way she was now. "Elena," he began, but she cut him off. "Say it. Please. Say it." He swallowed. Hard. "Mara." She nodded once, sharply. The truth wasn't liberating. It was confirming. A cold understanding settled into her bones. This wasn't the beginning of something. This was the middle. She was only just now discovering the edges of a story that had been unfolding without her. "How long?" she asked. Nothing happened. Too fast. Too defensive. "How long?" she repeated. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Silence was an admission all its own. Later that afternoon, Elena left the house with no destination in mind. She walked aimlessly through town, the season winding down into brittle pre-winter chill. The air smelled of cold soil and dying leaves. She liked autumn less and less as she aged. Too many metaphors, too many endings, too much heaviness hanging from the trees. She drifted past the coffee shop where she and Mara used to sit at 20 smoking cheap cigarettes and pretending their wounds were interesting and artistic and not just sad. Back then, Mara had been the kind of girl people followed without quite knowing why. She didn't demand attention. She attracted it like a flame attracts moths. And Elena, shy, careful, stable, had orbited her like gravity. Perhaps Mara had always wanted something of hers. Perhaps she had always been waiting. Elena paused at the crosswalk as a thought bloomed slowly in her mind. If Mara was back in town, she didn't return without a reason. And whatever that reason was, Elena had walked right into the center of it. By evening, she returned home to a house that felt altered. The lights glowed too warmly. The shadows felt too long. Something in the air felt watched. Michael was in the living room pretending to read. His eyes flicked up the moment she entered, relief flooding his features as though he had expected her not to come back at all. "Elena. Please," he said. "We need to." "No," she said quietly. "Not yet." He stood, approaching her like someone approaching a frightened animal. Every movement slow. Every word cautious. "I know it looks bad," he whispered. "It is bad," she answered. He closed his eyes, his breath trembling. He wasn't a bad man. He was a weak one. Sometimes that was worse. "Elena," he said at last. "I never wanted this." She believed him. But believing didn't help. When she finally went upstairs, she didn't go to bed. She sat on the floor beside the window, her back against the wall, her knees drawn to her chest like she hadn't done since she was a teenager. Outside, the wind scraped against the glass, a lonely, persistent sound. After a long, stretching silence, she whispered into the dark, "What do I do now?" The room didn't answer. The house didn't comfort her. But somewhere far off, in the distance, past the quiet streets, past the sleeping town, Elena felt a new fear rising. The fear that Mara had never truly left her life, only waited for the right moment to return and take what she wanted. Chapter 2. Dark audiobook pacing. Slow, intimate, psychological. Elena didn't remember falling asleep. She only remembered waking. Her body felt heavy, wrapped in that peculiar numbness that comes after a night spent crying without letting a single tear fall. The first thing she noticed was that Michael was gone. The second was that the house was too quiet, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. She descended the stairs slowly, each step creaking like an old memory. A mug sat on the kitchen counter, his, half drunk, still warm. A note lay beside it. Went out for a run. Back soon. We'll talk. Talk. The word felt like a threat. Elena stared at the note, the handwriting too familiar, almost painfully gentle. Michael was always gentle. Even now. Even when he was slipping away from her like sand through open fingers. She ran her thumb over the ink, tracing letters that suddenly meant nothing. Her phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. Her heart kicked violently once. The kind of instinct people mistake for intuition when what it really is dread. She opened the message. "Elena. We should meet. Mara." The floor seemed to tilt beneath her. No suggestion. No apology. No explanation. Just a summons signed with the certainty of someone who knew exactly what she was doing, and exactly what it would cost. Elena reread the text, her breath shallow and uneven. A lifetime of restraint kept her from throwing the phone across the room. How did Mara get her number? Why now? And why her, not Michael? Was it cruelty? Curiosity? Or something darker, something that had been years in the making? The message didn't specify a time or a place. Because of course it didn't. Because Mara never asked. Mara beckoned. And people went. Elena spent an hour pretending she wasn't waiting for another message. She made tea she didn't drink. She folded laundry she didn't remember washing. She stood by the window, arms crossed, watching the street as if Mara might appear at any moment. Then the second message came. "You still live near the old oak?" "I'm outside." Elena's breath stuttered. Her hands shook. Her stomach twisted. A cold prickle crawled up her spine. "Outside. Here." The audacity was breathtaking in the worst possible way. She moved to the window, pulling the curtain back with slow, deliberate fingers. Across the street, leaning against a street lamp as casually as if she belonged there, stood Mara Vale. She hadn't changed. Not in the ways that mattered. Her hair. Still that dangerous cascade of red gold. Her posture. Still that intoxicating blend of confidence and boredom. Her face. Softened only slightly by time. Sharpened by something deeper, intention. Mara lifted her eyes. Saw her. Smiled. A slow, deliberate smile that didn't reach her eyes and didn't pretend to. Elena let the curtain fall. Her pulse hammered. Her breath shook. This wasn't a conversation. This wasn't a reunion. This was the opening move of a game Elena didn't know the rules to yet. But Mara knew them. Of course she did. And she had already begun playing. Elena stepped outside, the air biting through her thin sweater. Mara pushed off the lamppost with that same feline ease she had always possessed. "Elena Hart," Mara said softly. "Still beautiful, I see." Elena swallowed. "Why are you here?" Mara tilted her head the way she used to when deciding how honest to be. "I came back to settle something," she said. "Something unfinished." Elena's stomach tightened. "With Michael." Mara's smile curved, subtle and devastating. "With you," she said. The street suddenly felt too quiet. Too exposed. Too cold. Elena forced her voice steady. "What do you want?" Mara took a step closer, just one, but it was enough to close the years between them. "Answers," she whispered. "Truth. And maybe." She paused, eyes narrowing with something like hunger. To see what happens when the past comes calling. Elena's chest constricted. Mara, she said. If you're here to hurt me. Oh, Elena, Mara murmured, gently brushing a strand of hair from Elena's cheek without touching her. I don't have to hurt you. Not when you're already unraveling. Elena inhaled sharply. Mara stepped back, her smile softening into something eerily tender. I'll be in touch, she said simply. And just like that, she turned and walked away, leaving Elena standing in the freezing air with her heart thundering and the terrifying certainty that this was only the beginning. Chapter 3. The Echo Behind the Door. The house feels different in the days that follow. Like someone has shifted a wall half an inch. Invisible but unmistakable. A space you've lived in forever suddenly feels off. Every doorway seems narrower. Every shadow fuller. Michael senses it too. He doesn't say it, but he moves differently, quieter, watchful, as if the name he heard in the dark is still echoing somewhere inside him. As if he's not sure where it will land next. Elena tries to keep her routine unchanged. The morning coffee, the walk through the fog-thinned garden, the slow settling at her desk. But the world behaves differently around her now. Even the mug feels too light in her hand, as though the ceramic is hollowing from the inside. She keeps checking her phone. A habit she hates. A habit she didn't have before. But since that night, her nerves twitch with a restless pulse, listening for a message she knows she shouldn't want. A voice she shouldn't miss. A presence she shouldn't remember. Or shouldn't remember so vividly. When the screen finally lights up, she doesn't touch it at first. It buzzes once, short, almost delicate, as if the sender knows she's holding her breath. She flips it over. It's him. Daniel. We need to talk. Elena turns away from the phone as if it might burn her. She grips the counter, knuckles whitening, trying to quiet her breath. She needs distance from that voice. She needs silence. She needs. Everything okay? Michael's sudden arrival makes her jump. He stands in the doorway, tie half knotted, face unreadable. He tries for casual, but his eyes keep flicking to the phone she flipped face down. Elena forces a smile. Just work emails. From the publishing house? Deadlines. She murmurs, hating how her voice thins out, betraying her. He says nothing. And that silence, that's what hurts. Michael has never been the jealous type. Never controlling, never suspicious. But now when he looks at her, it's like he's holding two versions of her at once. The woman he knows. And the woman who whispered a name that wasn't his. He grabs his jacket. I'll be late tonight. The department's short-staffed. Okay. Don't wait up. He hesitates on the last word, as if waiting for her to ask him not to go. She doesn't. The door closes gently, soft enough to sound polite, firm enough to say everything else. The loneliness that follows is immediate. Heavy. Like a curtain falling before she's ready. She picks up the phone. She stares at Daniel's message for too long. Her heart a traitor in her own chest. She knows she shouldn't reply. Knows she should delete it, block him, erase every trace of what almost happened. But something in her craves closure. Or contact. Or danger. She can't tell which anymore. Her fingers move before her mind can intervene. She types only one word. When? The answer comes instantly, as though he's been waiting with the phone in his hand. Tonight. Elena's stomach drops. No. Not tonight. Not like this. Not while the walls of her marriage are still trembling, barely standing. She almost deletes the message. Almost throws the entire phone into the sink. But instead she types. Where? Later, as dusk bleeds into evening. Michael is still not home. His absence feels intentional now. A space he is making. A test she hopes she isn't failing. Elena stands at the window, watching the street lamps flicker on one by one. She remembers the last time she felt this kind of anticipation. The kind that blurs fear and longing into something dangerously close to hunger. It's raining lightly, that fine mist that makes the world look blurred around the edges. A car stops at the corner. She knows it's him before she even sees his face.